So unfortunately, the Miami Heat lose yesterday to the Los Angeles Clippers, losing back-to-back games. Also, Jaime Jaquez made some very interesting comments before the matchup against the LA Lakers tomorrow. And finally, the curse of LeBron James fully explained today on another episode of Miami Heat Talk. What's up, you guys? Your boy Ernest here, back with another Miami Heat Talk video, ready to start 2024 the right way. Before we get started, you guys, please take a moment. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe. Need your guys' support so we can get the 3,000 subscribers. Now, wanted to start the video with a more positive note, but unfortunately, the Heat lose yesterday to the Clippers. We dropped 121 to 104. Sucks. I'll be honest with you guys. I think the loss against Utah was worst. Really wanted to get that one because I knew with all the injuries, knowing the fact that you were having a healthy Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, this was going to be a difficult game. Now, I will say this. We got our ass whooped. Tyler Hero doesn't score in the second half. Tyler Hero has a miserable game, 12 points. Bam Adebayo gives you 21-15. We know Mr. Reliable. Bam Adebayo is our MVP for this season. You got Jaime Jaquez giving you 15 points, Kevin Love giving you 17, Duncan Robinson giving you 15, but it wasn't enough. Games like this, where you don't have your top D4 perimeter players. Jimmy Butler was out. Josh Richardson's still out. Haywood Highsmith is out. Caleb Martin's out. These are four guys that are some of the best defensive players that we have. These are guys that are going to pick up guys like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden, make it really difficult for them to do what they did to us last night. So I'm not really fazed by last night. I was hoping the Heat were going to get a dub, but missing all those guys, it's kind of difficult. Now, I felt Miami was taking it to them. The Heat had a 12-point lead in the first half, but then they lost it. The first quarter they had a 12-point lead, but then lost it in the second. And then the rest of the game was the Clippers. The Clippers dominated the Heat at this point. So just wash this game away, you guys. Don't look at it as a bad thing. We lost, but we're still 19-14. We're 5 games above 500. So it's still looking good for us as far as the East standing goes. Now, the good news is Jimmy Butler's x-ray came back negative for the foot. So I think he's going to miss the remainder of the West Coast trip. I don't think the Heat are going to play him. You don't want to risk your superstar. Haywood Highsmith is out due to concussion protocol. Jay Rich and Caleb Martin. Caleb's got that ankle injury. Caleb's got a slew of injuries. So this West Coast trip is going to be really difficult. And it's going to get more challenging because tomorrow you got the Lakers. Anthony Davis, LeBron James. We know that juggernaut over there. But before the game, I thought it was interesting the comments that Jaime Jaquez made yesterday. For those of you that don't remember, Jaime Jaquez was picked 18th with the Heat. That part I'm sure you do remember. But the pick before that was the Lakers at 17th. The Lakers passed on Jaime Jaquez Jr. They drafted Jalen Hood Schifino. They ended up going with him. Now, he's doing all right, but nowhere near the level of Jaime Jaquez Jr. And Jaime Jaquez Jr. was going to college in UCLA, right there in California. So in the draft, a lot of experts thought that this was going to be a match made in heaven. The Lakers were going to be able to get the guy who was similar to Jimmy Butler to take the reins over LeBron James. He was going to stay in the same area in California, but that didn't happen. And Jaime Jaquez did say in an interview that he's actually glad that he didn't go to the Lakers. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, of course he's going to say that because he's with the Heat. But if you guys remember when he was drafted in Miami, there was a video that came out that day that he was telling his agent when the cameras weren't really panned on him that he knew that this was the right fit. Jaime Jaquez knew that the Miami Heat culture was specifically designed for him. And when you look at our last 3 huge draft picks that we have, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. I'll throw Precious Achiuwa in the mix, but we traded him for Kyle Lowry. But Precious would have been a part of that core. But it's great to see that not only that Jaime Jaquez was drafted here, but that was the perfect fit. We hit a huge home run with our last 3 big draft picks that we have. So I think that the Miami Heat have swung for the fences. You have your core for the future. And I've said this before. Right now, The Heat have set themselves up not only to win the NBA championship this season, but they've also set themselves up in the future for multiple seasons in the future with this big three. And it's not just Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. You have who I believe is the perfect starting power forward next to Bam Adebayo in Nikola Jovic. You have a possible diamond in RJ Hampton that you can maybe play with this team. Maybe not, but you never know. You also have Haywood Highsmith. You have Jamal Cain. You have Orlando Robinson. This team can be solid for the future. And when I say future, you guys, I'm not talking about 5 years down the line. We don't know how long Jimmy Butler has with this team. You know, it may be another 2 to 3 seasons. So this future that we're talking about may be a lot sooner than we think. But right now, the goal is to win an NBA championship for 2024. There's no other goals. No one cares about all-star games. Nobody cares about all NBA team awards. Nobody cares about an in-season tournament. Nobody cares about just making a play-in or making the playoffs. The Miami Heat were 3 games away from an NBA championship in 2023. So in 2024, there's only one goal, and that is to win it all. We're going to need everyone, all hands on deck to do it. Now, I've said this before. I love this roster moving forward. I don't think this Miami Heat team needs to make a trade. But one thing that we need to have, one thing that we have to 100% have moving forward, especially in the playoffs, is a healthy roster. If we don't have Tyler Hero, if we're missing a bunch of players like we're missing right now, we're not going to come out of the East. That's just a fact. The East has gotten better. Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, they're juggernauts in the East. I truly believe with every fiber of my being in a 7-game series that he can beat any of those teams. We can. We just need a healthy roster. And this is going to go to my next segment, my next topic. Why am I talking about health so much? Why am I talking about that this roster must be healthy? Well, that's an obvious thing to say. Because to win an NBA championship, we know that you need to have the right team. But another thing that we know, and this should be the most obvious thing to say, is the team that does win the NBA championship is usually the team that's the most healthiest. With all the contenders that make it to the playoffs, all of these teams have a competitive edge. But it's the one that stays the healthiest that usually goes all the way. Now, the Heat were able to defy those odds last year. But to do it again, it's going to be difficult. So you need a fully healthy roster. And why am I talking about this? Well, it's 2024. In July of this year, it will mark 10 years that LeBron James decided to leave the Miami Heat and join the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, that was a very devastating day for Miami Heat fans. That was a gut-wrenching, heartbreaking day. We signed LeBron in 2010. We went to 4 straight NBA Finals. We won 2 championships that are right there on that banner. And we thought that the good times were going to continue. Wade, Bosh, and LeBron all became free agents. Miami Heat had a huge amount of salary cap. The same thing in 2010. You thought we were going to bring all the guys back. Nope. LeBron saw the writing on the wall. He saw an injured Dwayne Wade was only getting more injured. He saw the team was older. So he felt that it was best to join Cleveland, just go with a young Kyrie Irving. They traded for Kevin Love, and they won the 2016 championship. So it worked for LeBron James. For the Heat, it eventually worked, but it was pretty bad in the beginning. Now, I'm going to break down what is called the Curse of LeBron James. And I haven't found it on YouTube. I've done some research. This is something that I have talked about in the past. You guys have heard me say it before. Some of you guys have even commented on it, but we haven't really talked about it in a full-scale video. So what do I mean from the Curse of LeBron James? Well, obviously, the Miami Heat have not won a championship since LeBron left. But we have made it to 2 NBA Finals. We have had some successful seasons. But every season that we've had from LeBron James, after LeBron James left, have been hampered by one thing and one thing only. Injuries. Let's do the math, shall we? Let's go back. After LeBron left us in 2014, well, actually, no, let's go a little bit further behind, shall we? Because in the 90s, the Heat did have some problems with injury. Alonzo Mourning would miss some time. But in the playoffs, we were usually fine. You would never have healthy Jamal Mashburns, Vashawn Leonards. They would miss a lot of time during the season. But when it came to the playoffs, the Heat were usually healthy. In the 2000s, in the Wade era, it would happen here and there, but for the most part, you had a fully healthy roster. When LeBron was here those 4 seasons, Chris Bosh had a little abdomen issue in the 2012 playoffs. In 2014, D. Wade was hampered by injuries, but it was still fine. The Heat were still majorly healthy moving forward. But the year after LeBron left, we went into a storm of mierda here in Miami. Let me break it down for you. The 2014-2015 season. The season that everyone thought, okay, the Heat are not contenders, but they can maybe make some noise in the East. You traded for Goran Dragic. Hassan Whiteside steps up. You're thinking you're going to have a starting lineup of Hassan Whiteside, Chris Bosh, Luol Deng, Dwayne Wade, Goran Dragic. Wrong. Chris Bosh goes down to blood clots. D. Wade has injuries for the rest of the season. Moving forward, the Heat only win 35 games. 2015 was trash. 2016, though, it got good. The Heat win 48 games. They make the 3rd seed in the East. Chris Bosh goes down to blood clots again after the All-Star break. Hassan Whiteside gets injured in the playoffs. Injured. The Miami Heat do not have Chris Bosh and Hassan Whiteside in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Toronto Raptors. They still take Toronto to 7 games, but lose. The Eastern Conference Semifinals. So they don't go to the Eastern Finals against the Clippers. The Heat lose in 7 games to Toronto. If the Heat have Bosh and Whiteside, they win that series. That's just a fact. 2017. The Heat start the season 11-30. That Cinderella season we all know about, that they went 30-11, but from what some people don't remember, the Heat had a shot of making the playoffs. Dion Waiters messes up his ankle 2 weeks before the season ends. Had the Heat just had Waiters, won some of those games they lost down the stretch, the Heat could have made it to the playoffs. And you guys, that 2017 Miami Heat team that went 30-11 in the second half of the season, nobody wanted that team in a 7-game series. Dion Waiters was out of his mind. 2018, Dion Waiters injures his ankle again in January. We sign Wade back, but we don't do it. First round exit against the Philadelphia 76ers. 2019, Dwayne Wade's last run. Last year, Josh Richardson goes down to a shoulder injury 2 weeks prior to season ending. The Heat lose 4 games in that span, miss the playoffs. 2020, the whole pandemic thing. We know that story. We pick up Jimmy Butler. We make the beautiful run in the bubble in the NBA Finals against who? LeBron and the Lakers. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Both Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo go down to injuries. The Heat lose in 6 games. 2021, that season does not count because the Heat played 2 months after the bubble. They were gassed by the time the playoffs got there. For those of you that don't remember, all the top 4 teams that made it to the Western Conference Finals in 2020, by 2021, none of them went to the second round. They were all gassed. I don't really count it. 2022, we are the 1st seed. We go to the Eastern Finals against the Boston Celtics. We take them to 7 games. But we also don't have Tyler Hero or Kyle Lowry. Last season, 2023, the Cinderella run as an 8th seed. You make it to the NBA Finals. But you don't have Tyler Hero. You don't have Victor Oladipo. One of your best scorers and one of your best defensive presence. Call it what you want, ladies and gentlemen. Call it complaining. Call it anything you want. What I call it is annoying. It's annoying. The Miami Heat have not had these problems since LeBron James left us. Now, for Dolphins fans, you guys kind of know it as the Curse of Marino. The Dolphins haven't done anything since Dan Marino left this team in 2000. Curse of Marino, because of the way he was treated before he left. The way LeBron left us, look at what's happening. I mean, you can call it, that's a coincidence. I just like to look at the numbers and think, damn, that's been an issue. So, 10 years after LeBron has left, it is time for this curse to go away. It is time for the Miami Heat to nut up and shut the hell up, move forward, and put another year on this banner. I know we can do it. I believe in us, but now it's time from hearing from you guys. What do you guys think? What do you think about this whole curse from LeBron James thing? Do you think it has any merit? You think it's funny? Or do you think it's just a coincidence? What do you guys think about tomorrow's game? Do you think the Heat have a shot of beating the Lakers? Also, What do you think about yesterday's game? How bad was that? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Thank you for everyone that hit me up with my last video. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the love and support. Until next time, your boy Ernest out. That's enough said. Let's go Heat.